What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA
Friday, October 9th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, NBA Finals. Let's take a look at this NBA showdown between the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers. Okay, so I'm going to go over the studs on this slate real quick. You got LeBron James from the LA Lakers, averaging 51.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 32% usage rate. He scored 51, 47, and 63 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 39, and 39 minutes. He's going to be about 80% owned here, projected at 56 fantasy points here tonight. Vegas thinks there's going to be 216.5 points scored in this game, so I like LeBron James here versus the Miami Heat. And then we got Anthony Davis from the LA Lakers, averaging 50.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 29% usage rate. He scored 52, 27, and 50 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 41, 32, and 39 minutes. He's going to be about 90% owned here, projected at 52.7 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Anthony Davis here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, and then we have Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat, averaging 41.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. He's going to be about 65% owned, and he's been on fire, scoring 57, 80, and 54 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 43, 44, and 44 minutes. So monster minutes, but remember, Bam Adebayo is back, and they've jacked up Jimmy Butler's price. On FanDuel, he's only $500 less than is Anthony Davis. But I still like Jimmy Butler here versus the LA Lakers. And then the last stud on the slate, I like Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat. He's averaging 40.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He was injured for a couple games there, but he came back last game, scored 25 fantasy points in 33 minutes. He's going to be about 44% owned. They've dropped the price on Bam Adebayo. He's projected at 36.5 fantasy points here tonight. So I like Bam Adebayo here versus the LA Lakers. Now let's get into some of these value plays. I like Rajon Rondo from the LA Lakers, who's averaged 18.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 21 minutes per game with a 19% usage rate. He's going to be about 12% owned, and he scored 20, 25, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 27, and 26 minutes. He's projected at 25 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Rajon Rondo here versus the Miami Heat.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Then I like Duncan Robinson from the Miami Heat, who's averaged 20.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. he's going to be about 23% owned, and he scored 28, 33, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 39, and 21 minutes. Looks like he's getting more playing time now because of the injury to Goran Dragic. He's projected at 25 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Duncan Robinson here versus the LA Lakers. And then I like Jay Crowder from the Miami Heat. He was averaging 24.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate. He's going to be about 34% owned, and he scored 25, 22, and 23 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 34, 33, and 28 minutes. He's projected at 23 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Jay Crowder here versus the LA Lakers. And then I like Tyler Hero from the Miami Heat, who's averaged 22.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's going to be about 17% owned, and his minutes have gone up since Goran Dragic got hurt. He scored 34, 26, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 37, 36, and 42 minutes. He's projected at 28 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Tyler Hero here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, I've got a couple more value plays for you guys. It starts to get a little dicey here as the salary moves lower and lower, but I like Contavious Caldwell-Pope from the LA Lakers, who's only averaged 16.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate, but he's getting solid minutes. He's playing around 30 minutes a game, and he scored 25, 13, and 25 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 31, 29, and 31 minutes. He's going to be about 11% owned here, projected at 22 fantasy points here tonight, so I like Contavious Caldwell-Pope here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, now if you're really reaching for these value plays, take a look at Alex Caruso from the LA Lakers, who's averaged 14 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 18 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's going to be about 20% owned here. He's only scored 8, 15, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 22, 26, and 23 minutes. But he does have 20 plus fantasy point upside, but he's projected at 16.5 fantasy points here tonight. One of the lower salary players that you're going to be able to find here. So I like Alex Caruso here versus the Miami Heat. And one last guy you got to consider, because his minutes have bumped up the last 2 games. He played 30 minutes last game, is Markieff Morris from the LA Lakers. He averaged 17.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 20 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's going to be about 14% owned, and he scored 16, 28, and 15 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 25, and 15 minutes. He's projected at 17 fantasy points here tonight. If he's going to play near 30 minutes, I think you got to consider him, but just take a look. I mean, it's hard to know if they're going to put Dwight Howard back in there or if they're going to play Markieff Morris again for a bunch of minutes. So it's a little risky here, but he could get it done for you. So I like Markieff Morris here versus the Miami Heat.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.